What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. This is the midweek update on ASBO. I'm sort of making a bit more headway this week, which is a good thing. Which is a very, very good thing, because I didn't get half as much done as I wanted to last week. There was loads of people that turned up, which I'm never going to complain about that. I love all that. But then you get Jack popping in from next door and a couple of other fellas on the yard. We had a catch up with Jamie and all that sort of stuff. It's just, you know, and when these people rock up, you just stand there yapping. You're not getting on with stuff, which is what I need to be doing. I have had a couple of pieces turn up. Let me show you. Right, so this one's not really that exciting or anything, but I've got some battery cable. I haven't got any. I have got lugs and stuff coming as well. Obviously, so we can, you know, make all the ends up. But that's just positive and negative. But then we also had a bit of a visitor the other day with the Dark Lord Fuzzy Button. He bought me this. This is actually quite cool. I'll see if I can get a picture of the top of the engine just to show you. But he had a Bandit. Sorry, I need to step this, sorry. He had a Bandit and he had loads of stuff just sort of left over, nuts and bolts and stuff. So he came down the other day, which was dead cool, and he's brought all this lot down for me. Look. So these are, it's all stainless. A couple of these bits is actually titanium, I think. But he's bought me all these little nuts and, little nuts and bolts and stuff to replace everything that goes in top of the engine, because you are going to see it, and these are lovely. I think he's polished these up and stuff as well, which is dead cool. So this lot goes into the valve cover. We've also got, what else we got? I think these are the titanium bits and doodads. So these go into the oil galleries. There's a couple of little short stubby ones and stuff that go into the side as well. So that's all dead sweet. He's also got a spare axle nut, I think that is. Which, I mean, you know, it weighs bugger all. And it is very shiny and lovely. So where I've got the one going in for the swing arm is exactly the same as this one. So I'm going to have to get one of these as well for that. But he just rocked up and we were shooting the breeze for a bit and whatnot. And he gave me that lot. So I haven't bought this. This was donated to the cause by the Dark Lord Fuzzy Butt, and thank you very much, mate. Very shiny. We like shiny stuff. Making a mess with the kettle again. So that is dead cool. I'll get a picture and show you where they're going to go. You'll probably guess anyway, but I'll just show you, because they are going to be on show. So having some nice, you know, hardware and stuff in there, I think is going to really make a difference. All the case bolts and everything else, they're all going to get swapped out with stainless and stuff, but I'm not going to be ordering them until we get to the engine teardown. Ideally, I mean, it's all Allen screws in there at the minute. Ideally, I'd like to replace them all with button heads, but I think the button heads are like a bigger diameter. I could spend ages turning them down on the lathe and whatnot, but I don't know. We might be going Allen's on that, or like cap head screws, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. We'll get to that bit, but it's all going to be stainless, so it all matches. So that'll be cool. I have ordered some other bits and bobs, which is on the way. I was hoping they was going to be here today, just so I could show you, but they ain't. So after the big debate on the Speedo, I've got the Speedo ordered. So that's coming from Digital Speedos, and I've also got the GPS receiver that goes with it. So essentially it's just a GPS receiver for a 10 hertz Speedo. So instead of having to have a cable going down either the fault leg or down the swing arm to pick up on something ferrous that's spinning around on the wheel, you can just get this little Mr. Man in his van. I hate that bloke. I really hate that bloke. But yeah, so instead of having a cable going from the Speedo down to the wheel and picking up on something ferrous on the disc, or, you know, something like that, like a bolt that's whizzing around or whatever, you can get this little doohickey that's a little GPS receiver. I think it's got 5 wires that come out of it or something. But either way, you can hook that into the Speedo and it turns it into a GPS Speedo. So you can just squirrel this thing up out the way, somewhere where you can't see it. Now, John Allen, Monkey Alan, as you would see him appear on the screen and whatnot. This is the exact same setup that he runs on his bike, and he's actually got the GPS receiver up inside the light bowl, you know, the headlamp bowl, so you can't even see it. And it's even though the headlamp bowl is metal, it still picks up on the GPS satellite signals and stuff, so he still gets an accurate reading, and it's never let him down. So we're going to give it a go anyway, even if it's just a case of, you know, once the bike's a runner and I'm going to take it to Crispy's or whatever, we'll stick the headlamp bowl on, shove the GPS thing in the headlamp, and I'll just go around the yard on it or something. I don't know. But it would be good just to make sure that that works. Otherwise, I've got to try and figure out some other place of putting it, you know, which I could do, which wouldn't really be an issue. But ideally, I want to hide everything that I possibly can do. So he's coming. He should be here this week. So we can get all that lot done as well. What else has got? Oh yeah, the wiring. So I've started gathering together the wiring that I'm going to need to build the bike as well. So as you know, we're running with the M Unit Blue, and you can get these wiring harness kits. Basically, I've not done one before. The last person I know that has done one is Craig from Doghouse Customs, and I dropped him a mail because he did this on his GS, and it looked dead neat and tidy and stuff. So I got in touch with him, just going, okay, so what sort of wire and where did you get it from to run the M Unit? And he said that he used one of these kits. There's several different sorts of kits that you can get, but I've gone for one that I think is going to do the do. If I have to add to it, I'll just add to it, that's fine. But it looks quite good because you get all the different colours of wires, and you get the different thicknesses, I think ranging from, I want to say 2.42 and 1.5 mil wire, but then you get the little ends that you can crimp onto it as well to go into the M Unit thing, and they give you a load of zip ties and stuff like that. But it just means, you know, I'm not buying reels and reels and reels of wire. I'm just buying what we need to get the bike done. And like I say, if I need to add to it, I'll add to it. That's not an issue. But it's a really good starting point. So I've got one of those coming, and I'm hoping it's not really going to be that long before we start, you know, mucking about with all that. It would be quite, I'm still trying to get my head around it. I've been watching a couple of videos on how you wire an M Unit, and it sounds quite straightforward, but you know, every job does until you have a go, doesn't it? Oh, I've also treated myself. I have treated myself. I'll show you. So everything that I get out of YouTube, it doesn't matter if it comes from Patreons or from the money that you get just from people viewing it. Who's that now? Why is everybody doing all the noisy jobs? Mr. Man in his van again. Oh, that's a different Mr. Man. I can't win. Right. So everything I get out of YouTube, it doesn't matter if it's from the patrons or from the money that you make by people viewing. I mean, to be fair, I'm getting bugger all. But everything I get goes back into the channel, and this is what I bought. This came off Facebook Marketplace. A grand sum total of 40 quid. And it's all right. I mean, it does need a little bit of a clean, but not a lot. It's like all the grills and everything else is cool. It's just an electric oven, just a single oven. I've been after getting one for quite a while, but given that we're going to be having the cases apart, painting all the cases up, and there's going to be bearings to get out of it and all that sort of stuff, I don't know, I might redo the calipers, depending, because they were all painted up and did look really, really good. But just anything that's a little bit, is all going to get repainted, and I can just cure it in this. Can use it for getting the bearings out the cases and whatnot. It's just that oven is a really handy thing to have. And what I'm thinking about doing is from here down, sort of on the end, I'm just going to put like a shelf in underneath the fab table so I can stuff, you know, gubbins and whatnot in there. And then I'll basically hang that underneath the table, and we can plug it in down the side and whatnot. And it just means I've got an oven that I can use to do bits and doodads in. But it's all right. I mean, it's supposed to go in like supposed to be a built-in, integrated jobby they call it, isn't it? But it's going to be integrated into a fabrication table. But 40 quid, I really couldn't pass that one up because it is spotless, apart from a little bit of schmoo on the bottom. That's it. So that is going to do the do. I don't think it's not a fan oven or anything. I think it's just a conventional one. But happy days. So as far as extra people jumping in and whatnot, I think there's been a couple. We're really not shifting much. So I think we've basically got the budget. But I also think that because I've had quite a lot of interest in ASBO since we did the giveaway. And there's been quite a few extra people commenting, which is kind of good. And I've got some new messages of people and all this sort of stuff. What a lot of them are asking is, when am I closing the option to chip in? When's the end date to it all? Well, the end date will be announced as we get closer to the end of this. I'm not going to pick a date and say that's when it's all going to end, because there is still a fair amount of fabrication to get done on this, just making all the road bits and bobs. So, as well as some structural stuff, really. Well, not structural, but you know what I mean. So this big hole here, that one needs to be filled in and up around the tank. We've got to decide what we're doing with the exhaust. I've got to make some headlamp brackets and stuff just to hold the headlamp bowl. I've got to mount the oil cooler properly. I've got to do the number board and the indicators and all that other sort of stuff. I've got to do a side stand. There's quite a lot of fabrication left. However, none of them really are big bits. Not really, not in the grand scheme of things. I've got the what I was thinking of doing with the fuel filler, because I've got that Monza style one. Some people don't like them because you can't put a key in it and lock it. So what I'm probably going to do is have this one out, and I'll make up like a ring which the Monza one is mounted into. So you can take this whole assembly out and put the Monza one on, which is how I'm going to be doing it. But if somebody wants to switch it out, then a standard band or fillet cap will be able to replace it, sort of thing, and you'll have a key. It will be the only key you have, but at least you'll have a key, eh? So there's stuff like that. I've still got the seat to do and the seat hump, which I've got an idea on that one, so that should be cool. But then, it's like little bits and pieces, like all the seat latches and, all that sort of stuff. And obviously wiring guides and blah, 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 blah. But as far as the biggest fabrication stuff goes, that's basically it, really. There isn't really anything else. There's going to be a few little odds and sods and a couple of brackets here that's needed. I don't know, maybe for the horn, or to hold the cable run, or do whatever. But all the big stuff has already been done. So as we get close to the point of finishing it all up, when I think I'm like a month off ish, something like that. Or when we're sending stuff off to get painted, maybe, I don't know, something like that. That's when I'll do a video announcing when the end date is going to be, so you all know. Because I think there's a few people that is just waiting until they get right to the end, when they go, oh yeah, I'd have that for a tenner. And then they're going to chip in. The only trouble with that is, and that's fine, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you're waiting on, absolutely fine, I really don't mind. The only thing is, as we get right to the end of it, obviously all the bits and pieces that is being bought for the bike will already have been bought. So any additional people sort of chipping in at the end isn't going to add spanky bits to this bike. That'll already be done and dusted and decided. But what we'll do is anything that is left over is just going to go into the next bike, basically. That'll give us a good sort of, jump start on that. I don't know how much it's going to be or anything else. Haven't got a clue. At the minute, we're at about 2,400 quid. Obviously, some of that has been spent already. Because I like my shopping, especially when it's motorcycle stuff. But that's kind of the budget, really. So if it does get to the end when, you know, there's a sudden surge of people chipping in because they want to win a bike for a tenner, then that will just go back into the next project. It's not going in my pocket. The oven, although it's only 40 quid, I would have gotten something like that out the proceeds from Patreon or whatever else. That's what that sort of money is for. You know, it's to add to the channel so I can do more cool stuff in here, you know, be a bit more adventurous, and it just all goes into tooling or, you know, consumables or stuff like that, really. So that's kind of what's what. So I'm definitely going to be making my own clip-ons as well. Because we had Jamie perched on the bike when he was down. You'll see, if you haven't seen it already, you will see it in a bit. But I wanted somebody else who's like a different height to me or whatever, just to sit on the bike and see how it felt with the foot pegs on. Foot pegs is all on, which is dead cool. But yeah, so I just wanted somebody else to sit on it to go, actually that feels quite comfortable, or no, they're too high or whatever. And he loves all that lot as well, but he did say it's a bit of a stretch on these, which I thought as well. So, and it's not going to take much. All I've got to do is raise this handlebar by like an inch, maybe 30mm tops. So I'm going to get some more alley. Same stuff, was it 6082? I can't remember. But anyway, motorcycle grade alley. And I'm going to make some clip-ons that basically mimic the end of the yoke. And the idea is that they're going to come up to sort of this shoulder here. So it'll be, you know, plenty beefy enough. Obviously follow the profile that I've got the yoke at the minute, but then this bit is going to be raised up. Keep the same angle and all that sort of stuff, but it just means I can neaten it all up and I can have all my bolt holes all lined up and stuff, so it will just look finished off like it should be. I could run with these and that's fine, but I think it would be better to do that just because it would just look nicer basically at the end. I know it's a fussy thing, but I really want this bike to look as good as I can get it, and that's something that just doesn't match. You've got these little cutouts in the side, perfectly good clip-ons and whatnot, but they just don't exactly match all the rest of it, because this is all kind of rounded off and nice looking, and you know, and obviously the bottom's going to get tidied up as well, but it doesn't fit right. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't go with the bike, so they're definitely getting done as well. A few people have said, are you running a front mudguard? No. I could do, I suppose, but it means having some sort of clamp around here, and then, I mean, I could, but I really don't want to. And apart from that, on these forks, there is no fixings for it. That's a separate thing, so I'd have to make some sort of clamp and then build a boss into the mudguard itself. I think it is going to look dead cool without it. It is a style thing, it's not a practical thing. And it might be that I get right to the end. I mean, it is something I could do right at the end. The whole of the rest of the bike is finished, look at it and go, yeah, it needs a front mudguard. At the minute, I'm not doing it. I'll decide later. So don't be chipping in with going, well, it's going to be my bike, build a mudguard anyway. No, you're just going to have to wait. If you want a mudguard and I decide it doesn't need a mudguard, then you're going to have to make a mudguard, and then you made something for your new bike anyway, didn't you? Everybody's a winner. So there you go, that's this week's update. I'm really pleased with how the rear set's turned out. I'm properly happy with that, actually. I'm not sure if that video with the rear sets is coming out before this one. Probably not, because there's some other little bits and doodads that I want to get done for that video. But it won't be long before you see it, I promise. I just need to find my gear change link. I can't find it, I've lost it again. I know it's here somewhere. That's a stupid thing. I know it is in here. And I thought I left it on the engine, but I didn't. So it's going to be in the box somewhere. I need to go grubbing. But we've got that lot sorted, so that's all cool. I'm just going to notch out the frame as well, just for the chain run. That's the next job. That's not a long job, that's fine. Get all that lot done and get it all back together again. And I think then we're probably going to be moving on to carbs, maybe? So we can have a stab with that Dynajet kit. Simon Rolls has got the rear shock. I've got the spring, he's left that here, so that's going to get powder coated, You know, it's all going to get shock blasted off. I just need to see Jack when because he don't get here till late. So I just need to see Jack when he comes back. We're going to get all that lot powder coated, and then Simon's going to service all the shock and make it look pretty and all that sort of stuff. Give it a paint and spritz and all that sort of whatnots. And then once it's all serviced, I can give him the spring. He'll rebuild it all back together for me. Either that, or if, you know, when he comes down, I'll get him to bring his spring compressor or something and we could do it here. I don't know, we just have to sort of figure it out. But then that's all good and cushy, because we're obviously going to need that for the dyno run, and I don't have anything else that I can stick in its place. So I need that back. But yeah, I'm thinking that's kind of the direction that I want to go. As far as the Speedo goes, I think they're the same size. They're really ambiguous with the sizing on the Speedos and whatnot, because they just give you a dimension, but you don't know if that's the outer bezel or the main body of the thing or whatever. So it might be that I have to remake that Speedo housing that it goes into and that clamps onto the thing, which could be a bit of an issue, because I carved a big old chunk out of my front unit to fit that. If I've got to remake it because it's a different size, that could be a little bit of a problem, but we'll get around that when we get to it. So, you know, that's kind of where we are, but that's where we're going. The only other thing is obviously exhausts. The Dark Lord Fuzzy Butt again has dropped me an email, because he was a couple of videos behind. He's got, there's the exhaust that I made, which is somewhere over there. That's what I'm going to be making up to run on it. Well, actually, that'll probably be the next job. Not the carbs and whatnot. But he got in touch because he saw I was on about one of those GP sort of pie cut cans. He rocked up on his bike, which is a BMW S1000RR or whatever. Proper spanky looking bit of kit. Lovely bike. But that came with one. That's what he had on it when he got it, sort of thing. And he's still got it, and it sounds like it might fit. So I need to measure some link pipes and everything else. I would rather than run that on the dyno just to try it out than the silly little Wish can, purely because that would be the sort of thing that I'll be running. So we get a proper, all right, how much power, how much noise does it make? So I am going to measure stuff up. He has sent me some pictures, but I think it'll work. And if it does, then we can offer that up and try and get it in a sensible place and a sensible length and all that sort of stuff for the dyno run as well. Even if we don't use it, you know, it's going to be a good thing to use instead of that, because it is a different can. And they're all different, and it might need different jetting. It's probably going to be louder or quieter or something. But, you know, I try and like to test what we're going to actually run on it. So I need to give him another shout and maybe get that on its way. He's only local, which is a good thing. But I need to see how it would fit up and all that sort of stuff. So having one in your hand that you can actually try and, you know, is going to be a good thing. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it for this update. More stuff is coming. You will see some more stuff, you know, like next week and whatnot, because it will definitely be here. And hopefully we can flesh out some of these plans a little bit more. But thank you ever so much for everyone who has chipped in on this. It really is cool. You know, I've got the funds to build the bike the way I want to build it. That much I'm certain of. And we are cracking on and getting it done, which is cool. But, you know, people chipping in and like with all the comments and all that sort of stuff is a massive, massive, massive help. So thank you for getting behind this project. It really, really, really is appreciated, and it's quite awesome the way that, well, it is awesome, the way that people have got behind it. So thank you ever so much for watching. I do hope you're well and staying safe, and we'll see you on the next one. Laters!